4 o'clock rock here on ThinkTech. This is Wednesday, so it must be Hawaii, the state of clean energy. And we have a special discussion today, which we are calling the new Alchemy, Sludge to Energy, with Tim Houghton, who is the Deputy Director of Environmental Services at the City and County of Honolulu. And we also have from Hawaii Energy, Ramsey Brown, who's going to tell us about a new program that's starting. And I say program, I really mean program, too.
Program.
So let's go to you first, Ramsey.
Great.
What do you got going?
We've got a new web series, Jay. It's called Hawaii Energized. We've aimed for about a 5 to 10 minute segment for a quick video, and I co-host with my colleague Shayna Doi. And we really created this show to interact with the public and to say that we're all together in saving energy, in contrast, I guess, to renewable generation. And so how we can all work as a community within Hawaii to save energy, to reach Hawaii's energy efficiency goals. And I guess it's two-pronged. We aim for education and encouragement in this show. It's funny, it's interactive. We just launched our premiere episode and we had 3 points. We talked about holiday tips, how people can save energy this holiday season. We talked about Energy Awareness Month, which was in October. And we also touched on thankfulness. Connecting with the people on the street in November, talking about thankfulness. And we actually have a little clip. If you'd like to play it right now, we can show our audience.
Okay, what is the clip we're going to play? What does it tell us what it is?
Right. It's just that. It's a short clip of our 3 main points from our show, Hawaii Energized.
Okay.
My name is Ramsey, and we're excited to be your hosts for
Hawaii Energized.
All right, Shayna, it's time to introduce our viewers to the next segment of our show, Power Talk. In this section, we're going to tell you the latest news and energy, hot topics out there on the field, and we're going to ask you to talk story with us.
For our first Power Talk segment, we're going to share with you what October Energy Awareness Month in Hawaii was all about, and how we actually got Governor Ige to proclaim October 5th as Energy Efficiency Day. Check it out.
Mahalo for stopping by, and again, join us for an all-new episode of
Hawaii Energized.
Let's build a better community together. Learn more at hawaiienergy.com and follow us on social media for the latest news and program updates.
Okay, bingo, we're back. Ramsey, nice.
Thank
you look
you.
Terrific in that.
Thank you.
Almost as good as you look on ThinkTech.
Almost. ThinkTech makes me look really good, though.
We try.
I like that you use the word energized.
Yeah.
We try to keep it high energy, keep the momentum going. We share about projects that we've completed. We try to highlight some of our clean energy allies and just let the public know what Hawaii Energy is doing for them.
Yeah. So you have to bring us these clips on a regular basis.
Great. We love to shoot
As a
it
matter
over to
of fact,
Yeah.
you know what I'd like you to do is give us the clips whenever you make them, and we'll play them in our overnight feed all the time.
All the time.
All the
Okay.
time. We play 24/7.
I wasn't even familiar with this.
Yeah. So okay, we'll just give us clips, okay?
Got a
Other
guy.
thing is, where and when can I see this on your system?
You can see it on our homepage, hawaiienergy.com. And it's also on Vimeo if you search us online, if you Google it. Hawaii Energy, Hawaii Energized, and you go ahead and view it. We've put it on Twitter, on Facebook, on Instagram, so you can get it through social media as well. And again, we just want to touch our friends and families and businesses out there in Hawaii and let them know what we're doing.
Great idea.
Yeah.
How often does it play? I mean, when do you renew it?
We're aiming for every 2 months. We're going to shoot a show maybe every month. We've got some great in-house talent. I'd like to give a shout out to Jeff and Joe and our one and only Marvin Buenconsejo for putting this all together, and my co-host Shayna Doi.
Great. Shayna, Jeff, Joe, and Marvin. Fabulous.
Great team.
And Ramsey. Thanks very much, Ramsey.
Thank you for
Great to have
having
you
us.
here. Great to
Yeah.
hear about your new show.
Yeah.
We'll be watching and we'll be playing it too.
Excellent.
Thank you for watching ThinkTech. I'm Grace Chang, the new host for Global Connections. You can find me here live every Thursday at 1 p.m., where we'll be talking to people around the islands or visiting the islands who are connected in various aspects of global affairs. So please tune in, and aloha, and thanks for watching.
I'm Ethan Allen, host of Likeable Science here on ThinkTech Hawaii. Every Friday afternoon at 2 p.m., you'll have a chance to come and listen and learn from scientists around the world. Scientists who talk about their work in meaningful, easy to understand ways. And you'll come to appreciate science as a wonderful way of thinking, way of knowing about the world. You'll learn interesting facts, interesting ideas. You'll be stimulated to think more. Please come join us every Friday afternoon at 2 p.m. here on ThinkTech Hawaii for Likeable Science with me, your host, Ethan Allen.
Aloha kako. I'm Marcia Joyner, inviting you to navigate the journey with us. We are here every Wednesday morning at 11 a.m. and we really want you to be with us where we look at the options and choices of end-of-life care. Aloha.
Okay, we're back. We're live. I'm Jay Fidel, having a good time here on ThinkTech. In Hawaii, the state of clean energy. That's Wednesday, 4 p.m. every single week. And today our special energy guest is Tim Houghton, and he is the Deputy Director of Environmental Services of the City and County of Honolulu. And P.S., he runs the sludge plant out there in Kapolei, is it?
Out there in Campbell Industrial
Campbell
Park.
Industrial
Right.
Park. Okay, and he's got big news about sludge. What is it?
And that big news really is that instead of putting sludge into the landfill, we're able to put that sludge into H-Power, burn it, because of that burn additional waste, generating more clean energy to power homes and businesses here on the island of Oahu.
Okay, I guess it's a silly question, but what exactly is sludge?
Sludge is the solids out of your wastewater. So you've treated the wastewater, the solids settle out. We have to take those and dispose of them separately. The liquids get, of course, discharged into the ocean or disposed of other ways. But in this case, sludge you have to treat as not really hazardous waste, but it has some potential hazard to it.
Because of bacterial.
Because of bacteria and
yeah.
such, Jay. And so generally that's landfilled, or if it's treated further, it can be used as soil amendments and such. Here we use it as, we do it, our Sand Island plant create pellets which are used as soil amendment, but at all of our other 7 plants, all of the biosolids, as they're called, the sludge, is taken to our Honolulu plant and then now taken to the H-Power facility where it is introduced into the mass burn facility at H-Power. Along with the garbage. Along with your normal municipal solid waste,
Yeah.
and burned, and through that process creating energy. This is really the first of its kind facility in the country. So we had some challenges because we had expanded H-Power a few years ago with the mass burn facility, allowing us to take materials without shredding them, which allows us to take mattresses and other things that you couldn't shred. But when you took sludge, you had and put it in the landfill because it's somewhat liquid. It's about 70% liquid, 30% solid. When you put it in the landfill, you had to also bring in an equivalent amount of other waste to mix with it so that it would settle properly in the landfill for a long term.
Otherwise it'd be an irregular settlement and
That's right.
unstable. Yeah.
Unstable. And so basically, we would take over a year 20,000 tons of sludge. I think that's a pretty big number.
Wow. I hate to think of that.
Right, especially all in one place. But you'd take 20,000 pounds of sludge, but you'd also have to take 20,000 pounds of other waste. Typically, that would be the bulky waste that we pick up, which is...
Again, to mix it up.
To mix it up so that it would settle in the landfill. Well, what we're able to do now, we can take because of the new installation of the sludge system, we can now take that additional 20,000 pounds of other waste and the bulky waste, put it also into the mass burn facility, and that's where we get the real big benefit on the energy side. But we solve 2 problems. We make best use of the waste energy facility, and we reduce the use of our landfill here on the island.
Just to be clear, this is the facility right near the peaking plant, so across the road from the Hawaiian Electric peaking plant.
That's correct.
In Campbell. And I was out there one time making a movie for OC16. Right. It's still on. And I walked down there with somebody from Hawaiian Electric, and I said, "Gee, it smells like there's a restaurant nearby. It's a very pungent food smell.
Right.
Well, that's the waste plant. isn't it?
That's the waste energy plant, and because all of our municipal solid waste, everything anybody puts in their gray can, at home, plus waste from businesses and other, all goes there as our first choice for disposal. That is obviously a big generator. The number when we're fully running at full capacity is about 60,000 homes worth.
So let's talk about some of the details, unpacking that, if you will. What is in sludge that burns?
Again, because it is biosolids, the drier you get it, it will burn. It's still got some thermal value. The thermal value of it in its wetter stage is not, huge. The big benefit is to be able to pull that other piece of the solid waste and mix it up. But what you do is you will take a truckload of the sludge. It gets dumped into a hopper. From that hopper, there's a pump system, a long pipe that feeds that. So it needs to be somewhat liquid to be piped.
Moved, yeah.
And then it's fed through 16 aerators that push the sludge at an appropriate rate into the burn facility, mixing it with the solid waste.
Okay, so you don't have to boil off the water or anything?
No, it happens as part of the burn process.
Burn process. Very interesting. So did you wake up one night at 2 a.m. saying, gee whiz, we're missing an opportunity here? We need to add sludge to the mattresses? I mean, how did that come about?
We really had two problems we were trying to deal with. One is we went and, as I mentioned, built the mass burn facility H-Power, which took the capacity from 600,000 tons a year to 900,000. That had been based somewhat on projection of growth in waste.
Right.
Good thing is waste didn't grow that fast. So now we've got excess capacity, and because it's mass burn, doesn't have to be shredded, allows us to do some different things. At the same time, we're trying to figure out ways to reduce what we put into the landfill so that landfill is not a daily use landfill. One of the big things that was giving us problems there is, what do you do with the sludge? Some people, smart people, came up with, can we burn this in the mass burn facility? And the city engineers, working in refuse, working with our contract operator, Covanta, came up with a way to do this. And again, as I said, first in the country of having done this, solves two problems for us. It makes sure we're maximizing use of H-Power, generating as much power as we can, and keeping stuff out of the landfill.
Yeah. So the manufacturer of, you mentioned there was a piece of equipment that was necessary in order to integrate the two processes. Is that manufactured by the same company that manufactures the H-Power burner in general?
It would be a sub-part. There's a couple of pieces to that. There's a sludge receiving and pumping equipment, which was specifically designed for this facility, by it's called a Schwing Bioset. There's a sludge injection system, which what I was talking about. That is made by a company called Martin Saxland.
These are American companies?
These are American companies. And then there's a biorem odor control system. Obviously, with sludge, you have a different kind of an odor, so we need to have an odor control system that you might not have for the typical garbage.
I was going to ask you about that.
Right.
It's got to have a terrific stink to it. So how do you deal with what process is in that equipment to control the odor?
Basically, it's only open when it's dumped. So the truck will dump into a hopper, and then the hopper gets closed.
Yeah.
And then you've got really about a full day's supply that you can push through the pumping system. So you come in with trucks once a day and load it, and then it's a closed system throughout, and the only time it comes back out is actually into the furnace.
Okay. And the furnace burns everything.
Yes.
In other words, there's no pond of sludge down there somewhere.
There's no pond of sludge. The only thing that comes out of the furnace is an ash. So there's an ash.
That goes to the landfill.
That still goes to the landfill. We're, different picture, we're looking for ways to get that ash reused.
Sure. Well,
so in the
use
future,
as a fertilizer, perhaps.
Yep, perhaps not enough sludge left in it to make fertilizer, but whether it gets into concrete, asphalt building
Sure,
materials.
sure.
So we're working on very hard on finding ways to make
Oh,
that
that'd be a
usable.
perfect solution.
And then you've got a complete
Yeah,
use and
nothing goes to the landfill.
nothing goes to landfill.
So on the pellets that you described, some of the sludge goes into making pellets for agricultural, fertilizer.
Right.
Is that before you ever get the sludge to the burner?
It's from the Sand Island treatment plant. That sludge is run through a separate digester. The digested sludge is then fed into a dryer, and this all happens at Sand Island treatment plant. So it's fed into a dryer. It's dried far enough to the point that it can be pelletized, and those pellets are then directly distributed. That sludge never goes to the burner.
How do you determine how much of the sludge goes to pellets and how much goes to the burner?
It's basically, we did the entire Sand Island treatment plant, has its own process. Everything else from the rest of the island goes to, the H-Power facility.
Okay.
Right.
Right, so it's
And so we just, it was a case of, we needed to do that piece earlier, so we did that as a self-contained within the treatment plant.
Yeah.
Whereas we've got the other 7 treatment plants, most of them are relatively small, and so we do truck the sludge to a single location.
So the only one that actually makes the pellets is in Sand Island?
Is at Sand Island.
So whatever the intake of that is, you give it all that you...
It all becomes pellets.
All becomes pellets, and all the other sludge goes to
H-Power.
Campbell. This is a really interesting situation. So the sludge itself is what? Processed into a truck?
Yes.
And how can I tell what this truck as opposed to all other trucks?
It-
Is it a sludge truck? Is that what it is?
No, it doesn't look much different than a typical, how can I say, a typical roll-off container, because in fact, most of the time it is. It's just,
Oh, here it is, yeah.
Yeah, and here's the picture of a typical.
So you tilt it and the sludge just drops out
And
the
this
far end.
is where you're now dumping it into that hopper at the back. This is that first step. Once the driver is through dumping, he's out of there, goes back to his treatment plant and such. So again, standard. It's going to look like a city truck. It's got a city logo on the side, and it'll say wastewater treatment and disposal. But it won't say sludge.
The truth, Tim, is it doesn't look like a sludge truck
No.
at all. In fact, look how clean that thing is.
That's right.
Yeah, somebody taking care of
Somebody's
the sludge
taking
truck.
care of the sludge truck. Well, and that's important because it obviously it has
it's
an
the
opportunity
public
to
get
collect.
panicky over this.
And that's right. We are hauling this stuff down a road.
Ever have an accident?
We have not.
Good. I'll go with that.
We don't want to spill that. Yeah.
That'd be a problem.
No.
So let's talk about, quantity in general. I recall hearing, you can correct me on this, is that we didn't actually have enough garbage to feed the H-Power plant because the city had not grown in its garbage output as fast as the plant had grown. Tell me about that.
Well, that's correct. And the original H-Power plant with its refuse-derived fuel or shredded fuel component was designed and built in the early 90s, put into operation for 600,000 tons a year. We were reaching that capacity, and in fact, actually before the third boiler came online, we were exceeding that capacity. We were pushing it. We designed in the late about 2010, we designed the third boiler, thinking that we would have a fairly standard rate of growth in refuse and garbage. Now, that was offset and didn't happen as fast by recycling programs, by changes in packaging, people's habits. And so, good thing, garbage didn't grow as fast.
Yeah.
But it gave us some additional capacity and some additional options because we now have a capacity for 900,000 tons. So we increased that capacity by 50%.
What's the city's output in terms of garbage?
Right now we're running about 750,000 tons.
you
So
have some room
we
left.
still have room left. you know.
10%, whatever it
Right,
is.
I mean, obviously, we're keeping an eye on that because we have built into a design the capability if we needed to add another fuel
boiler.
train or another boiler, we could do that, you know, because we believe, particularly on an island, not having to use landfills where you have limited land space, not having to ship waste off the island is a smart thing. Shipping waste off the island uses energy.
So actually, you take it all. You take
Yes.
all the garbage.
We take-
It comes off Oahu, you take it.
That's right. Yeah, the only thing we don't take is what's called construction and demolition waste. So
It doesn't burn so easily.
Yeah, that's right. Doesn't burn. It's concrete, it's rock, it's steel, it's it's that kind of stuff. But anything that's your all your domestic residential waste, all of your waste from hotels, where and businesses, whether we pick it up in the city or whether a private collection firm picks it up, it all goes to H-Power. So our first choice, they have to take it first to H-Power. If for some reason H-Power is busy or down for some reason, then they go to the landfill. But first priority is always H-Power.
Sometimes I go to the, what do they call it? The place in Kailua.
The convenience center, or in Kailua's the transfer station.
The transfer station,
Right.
right? The transfer station is quite amazing up there. And, you can take it in your truck and all
Right.
that. And if you're not a contractor, you have open access. If you're a contractor, you can't come back
Right.
all that many times. But query, where does that go? All that
Okay,
stuff that I'm
all that
dropping?
stuff that is in fact, so that's generally what's coming in there is everybody of our collections on the windward side. For efficiency in using collection trucks, they dispose of that waste at the transfer station there. And as well as we allow private residents to bring stuff in. That is then trucked to H-Power.
Oh, okay.
So all of that's just an intermediate handling
Okay.
point. We have a similar facility, what we call the Kihi Transfer Station, right by Middle Street and the freeway, as well as a smaller one up on the North Shore, just so that people can bring stuff closer to where they are, that our trucks don't have to drive as long, we keep them off the road a little bit more. But we do have then large tractor trailers that haul
Okay.
that and to haul it direct to H-Power.
And that's why you separate the refrigerators and
That's-
the old appliances.
That's correct.
Because you're not going to take them to H-Power.
They don't go to H-Power, they go to a metal recycler. For refrigerators, the Freon has to get removed first if there's Freon in it. And so, and other things will go to appropriate batteries, go to battery recyclers. So those things can't go to H-Power, but we get those out of the landfill waste stream as well.
Right. I remember during the years of Mufi Hahnemann, I guess you were there then.
I was there.
You've been there forever.
Almost.
He had this issue, the city had an issue about shipping waste in barges offshore. I don't remember
Right.
what it was, to the mainland or
There,
what.
there was a proposal that people made that they could put together a program to take waste, instead of it going to the landfill, bundle it, put it on a barge, and take it to the mainland. Interesting challenges they had in getting the U.S. Department of Agriculture approval to move that waste.
God knows what's in it.
Right, because you don't know what's in it.
Yeah.
It was originally proposed to go to a landfill in Washington State. And toward the end of that process, the landfill and the local community said, no, we don't want that kind of waste, even though extraordinarily large landfill that is the primary business in the county.
Interesting.
Interesting, but they said, we don't want to do this. So that process fell apart. Ultimately, that material was broken down, shredded where appropriate, and actually fed through H-Power.
So how long has H-Power existed in the county?
H-Power went into operation in about 1990, and so it was a forward-thinking process for the island to match waste disposal and energy needs. And it's a form of renewable energy. It's clean energy.
How many kilowatts are you generating with it?
Oh boy, I don't have that number. I say it equates to about 60,000 homes worth a year.
Well, that's a substantial
Which
amount.
is a substantial piece.
And if you expand it, because there's an expansion in trash,
That's right.
then you'll have that much more
Yeah,
electricity.
and that's another. It offsets significant barrels of oil coming in. It makes those pieces much different for how we generate power. Maybe we don't, as things change, we bring in less coal, we need to bring in natural gas. Well, the more we can generate from the other materials we're bringing in for other reasons, the better off we are.
Sure. And it saves the need to put it in landfills, because landfills are an eyesore,
Right.
and they affect the stability of the environment too.
Well, landfills have a long-term maintenance requirement.
Yes.
And even though you may close them and they're no longer being used, they do produce methane. You have to deal with the gases coming out. Sometimes that's beneficial because you can reuse that. But you continue to have to do something to maintain that landfill for the next 70, 80, 100 years.
And if the landfill is in a sloped area, you
Right.
have the risk of instability,
Yep.
and all that trash could come down the hill.
Yes, and obviously when you design a landfill, you're designing it in a way that it shouldn't do that. But anytime you're building up, you always have a risk of of that.
Well, very exciting. I must say, I often say to people who appear on the show, I wish I had your job, but I am not going to say.
Oh,
say
thanks,
that
Jay. Darn.
But I admire your work.
Thank you.
I think it's great. I think the kind of expertise we absolutely need for our environment and for being efficient about energy. And I think you're doing a great job. It's a great project, and it has legs.
Good.
25 years of legs.
That's right.
That's fabulous.
Good. Well, we're looking for it to continue for a much longer period.